The last property that I really want to have any focus on these videos deals with things that look like this. So we've got the zero power. And when we start talking about the zero power, this comes from a few different places, but the one that I want to remind you of, because you should have had this in the last course, are things that look like this. If you had x to the third over x to the third, and when you saw that, many times we would have you do this, and of course we know that that's times 1 because there's always a 1 in there, and then we simplify anything that's the same top and bottom, and we're left with 1 over 1 is 1. The other thing that we often talked about too is when you see something like that, we would say anything over itself is 1. Now what we need to do now is look at this with our new rules that we've got, and this is a division problem. So we have a like base, and we see that we've got 3 minus 3, and 3 minus 3 is 0. So hopefully you can see now what x to the 0 is. X to the 0 is 1. So when you see a zero power, we have a very specific thing that we have to remember here. Any number to the zero power is 1. And that's all there is to that. Let's do a few examples. So our first example, if we have we already did one that was just one variable. So now we look at this and we see that we've got a variable that is acting on, of course, the parentheses. So we've got the 0 exponent acting on the parentheses. So this whole thing is 1. So you look at whatever it's acting on. If you've got 3 to the 0, anything to the 0 power is 1. If you have x to the 0 plus y to the 0, well, x to the 0 is 1. Bring down the plus. Y to the 0 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. You could have, oops, that should have been a D. And again, we look at this, and the bottom line is that we see, as soon as we see that we've got this parentheses and it's a 0 power, we don't have to do any more work. It's 1. It doesn't really matter how complex we get. If I have 3 to the 0 plus 4 to the 0 plus y to the 0 plus z to the 0, I look at this, and again I have to look at it. 3 to the 0 is 1. Bring down the plus. 4 to the 0 is 1. Bring down the plus. Y to the 0 is 1. Bring down the plus. Z to the 0 is 1. So we've got all those simplified. 1 plus 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. And that's really all there is to the zero power property. The key is to remember that you're looking at what it's acting on. And you can see that it acts very nicely on parentheses, but that you've got to worry about when you've got a plus or a minus in there. So that separates them out.